Imagine waking up to a headline that changes everything: the Strait of Hormuz is closed. No oil tankers moving. No LNG shipments leaving the Gulf. No commercial traffic passing through the narrowest and most vital energy artery on Earth. Nearly 20 million barrels of oil per day, about 1/5 of global consumption, normally flow through this single choke point. Remove it overnight, and the world doesn't just face a crisis. It faces a systemic shock. Today, this is not speculation for entertainment. This is a strategic stress test. What happens if escalating US-Iran military conflict makes the strait completely impassable? What follows in the first hours, the first week, the first month? This is part one of a two-part deep dive into the most dangerous geopolitical domino effect of our time. The Strait of Hormuz sits between Iran and Oman. At its narrowest navigational channel, it's only about 2 miles wide in each direction for tanker traffic. That's it. 2 lanes power the global economy. Tensions between the United States and Iran have historically hovered at the edge of escalation: sanctions, proxy conflicts, nuclear disputes, cyber operations. Iran has repeatedly signaled that closing Hormuz is a retaliatory option if attacked. A direct US strike on Iranian nuclear or military infrastructure could trigger asymmetric retaliation. Iran's strategy would not necessarily require a formal closure. Mining the waterway, targeting tankers with missiles or drones, or harassing shipping through fast attack craft would make insurers immediately suspend coverage. And when insurance stops, shipping stops. No declaration needed. Just fear. Within hours, global energy markets would react violently. Energy markets are built on confidence and predictability. Remove either, and pricing becomes panic-driven. With Hormuz blocked, up to 27% of global seaborne oil trade disappears overnight. LNG exports from Qatar, roughly 20% of global LNG supply, are frozen. Oil prices would not gradually rise. They would spike. Traders would price in worst-case scarcity. Futures contracts would surge. Energy importing economies would scramble to secure emergency shipments. Countries most vulnerable, China, India, Japan, South Korea together, they receive nearly 70% of the crude flowing through Hormuz. Inflation would accelerate immediately. Fuel costs rise, transport costs rise, food and consumer goods rise. Airlines slash routes. Logistics companies increase surcharges. Stock markets plunge under uncertainty. Emergency reserves held by International Energy Agency countries could release millions of barrels per day, but only temporarily. Strategic reserves are shock absorbers, not replacements. If the blockage lasted beyond weeks, this would no longer be a market correction. It would be an economic contraction. This isn't just oil. Hundreds of tankers transit Hormuz monthly. Beyond crude and LNG, the Gulf exports petrochemicals, refined fuels, aluminium, and fertilizers. A closure would trigger tankers stranded in ports, insurance premiums skyrocketing, shipping rerouted around Africa's Cape of Good Hope, adding 10 to 15 days per journey, freight rates doubling or tripling. Time is money in global trade. Longer routes mean higher fuel burn and tighter vessel availability. Container ships delayed in one region cause cascading delays globally. Factories dependent on steady energy input would reduce output. Developing economies, where fuel subsidies keep basic services affordable, would face power shortages. This is where the crisis moves, from financial screens to everyday life. Empty fuel pumps. Rising grocery bills. Industrial slowdowns. If you're finding this analysis valuable, subscribe now. Part 2 will go even deeper, into global power shifts and what a post-Hormuz world would permanently look like. Could the strait truly be made impassable? Technically, yes, temporarily. Iran possesses naval mines, anti-ship missiles, drone capabilities, fast attack craft, swarming tactics. Even limited strikes on commercial vessels would create psychological deterrence. Clearing mines is slow and dangerous. Escorting every tanker requires massive naval coordination. The United States Navy could reopen the strait eventually. But eventually energy markets can mean trillions lost. And during that reopening effort, escalation risk increases. Regional actors, Saudi Arabia, UAE, could become direct targets. Missile exchanges would threaten oil infrastructure beyond the strait. A localized conflict transforms into a regional war. Conclusion: the first domino has fallen in the first phase of a Hormuz shutdown. The immediate story is energy shock and economic fear. Oil surges. Markets tumble. Supply chains tighten. Governments scramble. But that's only the beginning. Because once energy security collapses, geopolitical realignments begin. Alliances shift. Rivalries intensify. Military doctrines evolve. In Part 2, we examine how China, India, Europe, and Russia respond, whether new coalitions form, and how this crisis could permanently reshape globalization. Click subscribe. Turn on notifications. And continue to Part 2, because the real transformation begins after the shock.